Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Franco Trimboli, and thank you for your time. Today I'll be taking you through a tour of email to SMS, and we'll start with a brief overview of why you should be using email to SMS. Then we'll dive right into how you can configure it within your account, and then I'll show you a few examples of email to SMS in action and how you can adopt the feature within your business. Okay, so why are we excited about email to SMS? Well, firstly, email is still quite a ubiquitous tool. It's everywhere, and nearly all online and connected business services know how to generate an email. Even internal systems that may deeply live behind a firewall, who may or may not be able to reach an API endpoint, can usually generate and send an email. So email to SMS is a nice starting point for a baseline integration into Whispir. Not to mention, most people know how to send an email. So it's a great feature to enable your staff and colleagues to send an SMS message without having to learn a new piece of software. So to put it simply, it allows anyone or anything to send an SMS message through an email. Okay, so you might already have some experience with email to SMS. So why are we different? Firstly, we think that we make it easier to bill, audit, and brand your comms using our email to SMS capability. Not to mention, with Whispir, you also get a single communications platform to manage both the complex and now with email to SMS, the more simpler services and integrations within the Whispir platform. Okay, so that's enough of a little preface. I'll dive right in and show you how email to SMS works. So here's a Whispir account, so hopefully you can all see that. I've already signed in, and one of the things I will mention is that while anyone can use the actual email to SMS capability, it is only company administrators who can configure it. So that's an important distinction. So as an admin in this account, I've got access to the admin panel on the right-hand side, and you'll notice that when I hover over this icon, I can then click on this icon, and then it provides me access to the administration panel. Now, email to SMS is bundled into the area we call address mapping. So when I click on that, you'll notice that it will then load up the address mapping page. Now, this is where admins can configure what happens when people text in a number, when people use our email API to trigger a workflow. And one of the new features we've got, of course, that I mentioned earlier, and the reason for this webinar, is the email to SMS capability. So it's really easy to go in here and click on create to create a new email to SMS rule. Okay, so I've clicked on that. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that it's prompting me to enter in a token, an email token. So what is a token? A token forms part of a specially formatted email address that your organization then uses to trigger an SMS message. So it might not necessarily be apparent as to why you would want to do that. And quite simply, the reason is you can set up many different email tokens to perform many different jobs. So one token might be used by your support team, another might be used by your operations team. And this way, your business can organize which workspaces these messages are sent in, they can organize who sent them, and how they're branded. And it also allows you to nicely bill for messages by workspace if required. So it's a nice handy thing. And one thing to remember is that tokens are also unique. So you'll get an error if one's already in use. So for today's example, I'll type in ops alert. And you can see here, once I've entered in the token, there's some text at the bottom illustrating how I'll actually use this token to send an SMS message out. And we'll touch on this later once we've created this rule. Okay, the next thing that I need to select is the originating email domain. And to put it simply, this is how you define who will be sending messages to this email token. And traditionally, you would need to enter in all the different individual email addresses, which, could be pretty laborious to do if you have a reasonably sized organization. So rather than do that, Whispir just requires you to enter in your organization's domain name. So in this example, I'll type in Whispir XYZ. And now that I've entered in that, it means that any email sent from this domain can send an email to SMS message as long as they know this special token above. What this does mean is that you get instant access to this feature across your business with very little configuration up front. Okay, now that I've created a token and I've defined my originating email, I need to decide where I want these messages to originate from. So you'll see at the bottom here, I can select a workspace. And as I mentioned earlier, this allows your business to more effectively organize the comms into the right areas for auditing and billing. So given that this is an ops alert, I'm going to put that in ABC operations. And that means that any message that I'll use will then get originated within this workspace. Now you'll see two other items below, message alias and subject. I'll actually skip these two items for now, and we'll come back later to see how they're used. So once I've selected those three options, I can click on Save. So it's as simple as that. You'll now notice that I have a new email to SMS rule at the bottom. I've got the address, the workspace, the domain, and it's really easy for me to now utilize this particular token to send out an email. So the first thing I'll do is I will select this particular email address at the bottom, opsalert@sms.whispir.com. And remember, you're not limited to only creating one rule. You can create as many as you want. But for today's example, I'll show you this one that we've just created. So this looks good. Let's now send an email to this particular address that I've just copied. I'll jump into my online mail tool. So I'm using Google Apps here for email, but this could be your Exchange or Notes email service. It just so happens that I'm using this service today. This potentially could be even an internal email system as well. So while I'm using an email client for today's demonstration, you could imagine that this email was generated by your organization's, say, internal ticketing tool for ops. So let's go in and create a new email. So I've clicked on the Compose button, and now I'll paste in that token. And you'll see that it has mobile number at opsalert.sms.whispir.com. Now, if I wanted to actually send an SMS out, I would need to change this to the actual destination number. So I'll just double tap. Okay, one of the things that you will notice is that I've actually entered 61 into the actual mobile number field here. Now you're probably asking yourself, why is that the case? Well, the great thing about Whispir is that obviously we do have the ability to send SMS messages not just nationally but internationally. And it's important that when you are originating an email to SMS request, that your number is entered in via an international format, not starting with a 0. And as I mentioned, the reason being is that messages can be created to global destinations. So for example, in Singapore, we use 65 instead of a 0. In Australia, it's 61. In the UK, it's 44. And in North America, it's 1. And if there are any questions in relation to this, we can follow up after this webinar to provide the actual instruction of what those global destinations are. Also, it's our recommendation that you only use one address per email. And the reason for this is based on the email client that you use. Some email clients can support multiple mobile numbers per to address. And we're looking to extend this capability in the future for clients or email clients that don't support that feature. So as I mentioned earlier, let's imagine that I am a operations system, and there's an issue, a ticket that's been raised in relation to our CMS, and I can say there has been an issue with our internal CMS tool. Reply if you can. So it's as simple as that. I have the format of my email at the top. I then have the subject. I then have the body of my email, and I can click the send button. Now, when I click the send button, that email will be securely sent from my particular email server here using what we call TLS, which is the same underlying technology as the secure lock in your web browser. And that means that any email that you send is sent securely to Whispir's email servers. Okay, so I've just received an SMS message, which is great. So here's my screen on my mobile device. You'll see here that I've just received that SMS message on my device simply by sending an email through my email client, which is great. And it's really that fast and simple to send a message out using your email client. Once your administrator has configured the token, anyone from that domain can originate messages out. Okay, so what does that mean from a Whispir perspective? The great thing about that is I can now go into my operations workspace, and you'll now see that that message that was sent, issue 92736, has now been captured within the Whispir platform. I've got the time and date recorded. I can see who actually originated that email. So I have all the audit capabilities of the Whispir platform within my reach. I can also view the message recipient status as well and view the detailed status report as well. So it's the same as originating an ad hoc message within the Whispir platform, but I'm using the ease and simplicity of email to generate that message. Okay, so let's head back to my mobile device, and you'll see here that this is prompting me to reply if I can attend. So I can actually say, yes, I can attend. And so I type, yes, I can attend on my mobile device. And what will happen is that, oh, look, I've now just received that email within my email client as well. So the great thing about the email to SMS capability is that I can also receive email responses back to the originating email who created the message in the first place. So yeah, it's relatively simple there to not only generate an email to SMS, but also then federate that response back to the Whispir platform and to the originating email. Okay, so I might move on to the next section, which was aliasing. So if I go back as an administrator here into my address mapping part of the platform and click on email to SMS, one of the things that you'll notice is that one of the drop downs was messaging alias. Now, what is message aliasing? Well, it's really quite straightforward. Message aliasing is managed through what we call another admin option here called the alias manager. And if I load that up, what it enables you to do, it enables you to effectively create specific masks for SMS and email. So this is useful to brand the address that the SMS message is coming from. So I could set up an alias here to send an SMS seemingly coming from my call center or coming from my business. So if I quickly edit the ABC marketing one here, if I click on edit, you can see here that the alias name is ABC marketing. the SMS will be sent from the ABC sales alias, and I can also type in an email here, so I can have marketing at whispir.xyz. Sorry, let's try that again. And I can then click save. So the great thing about this is you can brand your comms. One of the most important things to bear in mind is that this feature can be limited on certain mobile networks as well. And part of the reason, obviously, is that certain mobile operators may or may not allow alphanumerics to be included in any message that they send out. If you're unsure, we recommend that you test, or alternatively contact your Whispir customer success representative who can help you out with further information. As you saw earlier as well, I typed in an email address, a marketing at whispir.xyz email address. The great thing about entering an email address into this particular alias manager section is that you can even route those SMS replies rather than back to the originator. You could route those replies to a central mail inbox. So it's great for call centers where you have individuals creating email to SMS interactions, but then responses effectively getting federated back to a central email inbox. So that's quite useful. So I'll quickly show you how that works and show you the aliasing in action. So I'll create a new one and I'll call it marketing. Actually, I'll call it marketing. And I'll then include my Whispir XYZ email domain. I'll then say, well, seeing that it is marketing, I'll put in customer comms, and I'll now select that message alias to be the ABC marketing alias. What you would have noticed as well in that original SMS message, and I'll just bring it up on my phone here, you'll see that it included the subject of the message that was typed into my email client. You can control that through the include subject elements as well. So if you want to not include the subject, you can untick it. If you'd like to include the subject, you can tick it as well. It's just based on your business preference in terms of whether you include the subject in the message, or the subject could be used alternatively for tracking or ticketing purposes. So I can click save, and I now have that particular alias available on my within that particular rule available within the address mapping screen. So now I can go and create a new message. So I'll click on compose, and I'll type in marketing. I'll then put in that mobile number. I can send that message, and then I'll then receive that particular aliased message on my mobile device. And I've just received a message right now. You can see here it says ABC Sales, thank you for your time today. Please call Jenny on that particular mobile number to discuss further details. So it's really quite straightforward to brand the SMS messages that are getting originated from your email, or potentially from a call center, or through another type of email interaction, which may be an integration that you have with an internal system. Now, in terms of those messages that we've just sent out, the next question that you may be asking is, well, how do I audit and report on those messages that have now been sent out? As I mentioned earlier, if I go into my ABC Customer Comms workspace, I have the full audit trail of the message as it was sent and who it was sent by, and the various messages in terms of its status and delivery. So I can generate message reports to then itemize what was sent by who and the destinations that it was sent to. In addition to that, being an administrator, I would also want to provide potentially more granular billing to various business units who are using email to SMS across my organization. And the way that I do that is through the usage report option. So when I click on the usage report option, I then get a billing page that allows me to generate the usage over a period of time. So here I've got the last few days, so the last 7 days. I can then collate my data by workspace, and one of the reasons why I'm selecting workspace here is that it's quite handy for me to know or select specific workspaces if I want to. Alternatively, I can collate data by user, but that's not really useful for me because I have individuals who are generating messages who may not necessarily be users on the platform, and then I can collate that information by workspace name. So if I then go view, you can then, it's already been generated at the bottom. So you can see down here that there are already a number of workspaces, ABC customer comms and ABC operations, where SMS messages have been created and generated and then reported against that particular workspace. So it really is that simple to, as an administrator, go in and create these email to SMS rules using this relatively simple interface. And then once you've set them up, it's relatively straightforward to then communicate the token to your employees and staff, and they can start to use the power of Whispir's email to SMS feature. In addition to that, you may find that third-party systems or internal systems within your organization are indeed using an email to SMS capability today. It's really quite straightforward for you to switch out those existing email to SMS capabilities and leverage the power of Whispir's email to SMS capability as well.